You think her silence means she has moved on, but silence is the loudest thing she has ever said to you. You are scrolling her Instagram at 2 a.m., not because you are weak, not because you are broken, but because you are looking for something. Stop, you are looking in the wrong place. What I am going to show you today are not the surface level signals most people talk about, not the obvious stuff, not what the internet taught you. These are deep-rooted psychological signals, patterns of behavior that most men completely misread or miss entirely, and missing them is costing you your clarity, your peace, and your power. If you are new here, listen, nobody in your life is telling you the truth right now. Your friends are either co-signing your hope or dismissing your pain. The algorithm is feeding you content that confirms what you already believe, and if what you already believe is keeping you stuck, that is a problem you cannot afford to ignore. Hit subscribe. Turn on the notification bell. Not for me, for you. Because this is the kind of conversation nobody is having with you, and you deserve to have it. Before we get into the 3 signs, I need to say something you may not want to hear. Most men who go looking for signs that she misses them are not looking for clarity. They are looking for permission. Permission to go back, permission to reach out, permission to believe the story they have already decided they want to be true. That is understandable. That is human. But it is dangerous. When you read her behavior through the lens of your own longing, you are not reading her, you are reading yourself. That is called emotional projection, and it will lead you to misinterpret everything. So before we go any further, understand this. There are 2 things you can do with what I am about to tell you. You can use it to understand where she is emotionally, and then use that understanding to move with clarity, with groundedness, with power. Or you can use it to find reasons to chase. One is power. The other is a longer, more sophisticated version of the same pain you are already in. Choose before you continue. Sign 1. She controls the distance but cannot control the returns. She went cold. No contact. Days turned into weeks. You respected it, or maybe you did not, but eventually the silence settled in, and you learned to live inside it. And then out of nowhere, a voice note at 11:30 on a Tuesday, a meme that reminded her of something, a question she absolutely could have Googled. Most men read this as an invitation. They think she reached out, she wants to come back, this is my window. And in that moment of hope, they open the floodgates. All the things they have been holding back, all the longing they have been sitting with, they pour it into that response, and she disappears again. Every time. Here is what is actually happening. There is a psychological phenomenon called emotional anchoring. Significant relationships do not just live in our memory, they live in our nervous system. Certain songs, certain times of day, certain smells or situations trigger involuntary pulls back toward a person who mattered. She is not choosing to reach out from a place of conscious decision. Something pulled her before her logic caught up. This is not manipulation, it is not a game. It is something more primal than that. The emotional architecture of a relationship that actually meant something does not dismantle on a timeline the mind controls. The mistake men make is treating the return as a destination rather than a signal. The moment she reaches out, they give her everything they have been holding, and in doing so, they give her exactly the evidence she needed to confirm that pulling away was right. The desperation, the suppressed longing, the need dressed up as love, all of it, arriving before she has even decided what she wants. What you do instead is respond with steadiness, not coldness. That is a performance too, not rehearsed indifference, genuine, grounded presence. You are a man who is okay, not performing okay, actually okay. Steadiness answering confusion is more attractive than any perfect thing you could say. You cannot be pulled by what pulls you if you are rooted in something deeper than her. Remember this, you cannot chase your way into being missed. Sign 2. She has started performing her life. You noticed it. Maybe you tried to tell yourself you did not, but you noticed it. The posts multiplied, the gym selfies, the 6 a.m. morning routines, the outfit in the color you always told her looked incredible on her, the caption that is just slightly too unbothered to actually be unbothered. And you told yourself, she has moved on, she is thriving, she is fine, and I am here falling apart. That is the read most men land on, and it is wrong. Here is the truth. What you are watching is not healing. What you're watching is a performance, and every performance requires an audience. She is not posting into the void, she is posting for someone specific, and she already knows exactly who. This is what psychologists would call seeking perceived desirability in the absence of direct connection. She cannot reach out directly, her ego will not allow it, her fear will not allow it, the story she has told herself about how things ended will not allow it. So she broadcasts, she makes herself visible, because the visibility is the vulnerability. She is saying something she cannot say directly, to an audience of one, through a medium that gives her plausible deniability. Now, and this matters, this is only a sign when it exists alongside other signals of emotional investment. Here is the filter. Indifference does not perform. Indifference is invisible. A woman who has genuinely moved on does not curate her life for your benefit. She simply lives it. The performance is the tell. The question is not what she is posting. The question is why she needs you to see it. And here is where most men destroy themselves. They react, they like the photo, they watch every story within 30 seconds of it going up. They become exactly the audience she is performing for, and the moment they do that, they surrender every bit of power they have built. They confirm her suspicion that she still has them, and that confirmation changes her behavior, not toward more connection, toward less urgency. Why reach out when she already knows you are watching? Watch without responding. Understand without reacting. That is not cruelty, that is discipline. And discipline right now is the most attractive thing you own. Watch without responding. Understand without reacting. That is discipline. The third sign is the one most men completely miss. It is the most indirect, the most subtle, and the most telling of all three. Stay with me. Sign 3. She begins testing proximity through other people. She asked your mutual friend how you are doing, casually, like it was an afterthought. She showed up at the coffee shop you both used to go to on a Wednesday afternoon, a place that was never really on her route, on a day she had no logical reason to be there. She mentioned your name in conversation to someone she knew would tell you. You dismissed it. Coincidence, you said. Gossip. Her being around. None of it connected. It connected. What you are watching is a behavioral pattern psychologist called triangulated pursuit. She cannot come to you directly. Her ego will not allow it. Her fear will not allow it. The narrative she has constructed about who ended what and why will not allow it. So she finds proximity without exposure. She gathers information without vulnerability. She sends signals through a network rather than through a direct line because the network gives her cover. If nothing comes of it, it never happened. What she is actually doing, and this is important to understand with empathy, not judgment, is updating her internal story about who you are now. She left a version of you. She is trying to find out if that version is still the one that exists. She is not doing this to play games. She is doing it because she needs data before she is willing to risk being wrong twice. Before she risks rejection. Before she lets herself want something she may not be able to have. Men miss this sign because men are not wired to track social triangulation the way women are. They hear the mutual friend mention her name and they file it under irrelevant. They see her across the room at a familiar spot and they chalk it up to coincidence. They are not reading the pattern, they are reading the individual events. Here is what you need to understand. Coincidence does not have a pattern. And here is what matters most. You want her to receive good data, not performed data. Not the version of you that is checking her Instagram at 2 a.m. and counting the days. The real version, the one that is building, the one that is grounded. The one that woke up this morning and had a reason to get out of bed that had nothing to do with her. If she gets that data, real, lived, undeniable, she begins to quietly question the story she told herself about why things ended. She begins to wonder if she was wrong about who you are becoming, and that wondering is the crack in the wall. But if she gets desperation disguised as indifference, she confirms everything she already believed. Coincidence does not have a pattern. Now I want to talk to you about a man. Not a famous man, not a perfect man, a real one. He is the man who makes all three of those signs irrelevant. Not because she does not show them, but because he is no longer organized around reading them. He wakes up in the morning with a sense of direction that existed before her and will exist long after her. Not because he is cold, not because he has numbed himself out, but because his life is built on something sturdier than the presence or absence of one person. He has standards. They are not loud. He does not announce them. He does not perform them for an audience. He simply enforces them, quietly, consistently, without negotiation. He does not explain himself to people who have demonstrated they cannot be trusted with his inner life. He does not beg for a seat at any table. He knows which tables are worth sitting at. His sense of value is settled, not arrogant. Arrogance is just insecurity with better posture. Not fragile. Fragility is what shatters when someone leaves. Settled. He knows what he brings. He does not need it confirmed by her behavior, her posts, or her returns. He is not a man without feeling. He cries if he needs to. He sits with grief when grief arrives because he is honest enough to know that grief is not weakness. It is the cost of having loved something real. He lets the pain move through him rather than around him. He does not bury it. He does not perform it. He processes it like a man who understands that the feeling is temporary and the growth is permanent. He does not chase. He does not perform. He does not make himself smaller to fit inside someone else's uncertainty. He does not check her social media hoping her sadness will reassure him. He does not interpret her silence as his verdict. He does not chase because he understands something most men spend years learning. You cannot become the kind of man someone misses by following them. You become that man by becoming, by building, by being so locked into your own direction that your presence leaves a gravitational pull, not because you engineered it, but because that is simply what happens when a man becomes whole. He is not a fantasy. He is not some other man you read about in a book or watched in a film. He is a version of you that already exists, buried under the anxiety, the waiting, the hope that she will come back and confirm that you are enough. The work is not building someone new. The work is excavating who you already are. Awareness without direction is just sophisticated suffering. So here is what you are going to do. First, stop checking her social media. Not forever, just for now. She is not your morning emotional briefing. Every time you open her profile, you reset the clock on your own healing. The information you find there will either give you false hope or unnecessary pain. You cannot afford either right now. Second, stop being emotionally available to her reappearances without discernment. When she reaches out, you do not have to collapse into it or close yourself off from it. You can respond, but respond from your center, not from your need. Let her knock twice before you open the door. A man who answers on the first knock before he has decided how he feels is not responding, he is reacting. There is a difference. Third, stop waiting. Stop living in suspension. As if your life is a waiting room you will eventually be called out of. You will not. Your life is happening right now, whether or not she comes back. Every day you spend frozen in hope is a day she receives your time and your attention and your energy for free. You are funding a relationship that does not exist with the currency of your life. Fourth, redirect your energy into something that predates and outlasts her. The gym, the work, your friendships, the project you shelved. Not to perform for her. Not so she hears about it through mutual friends. Because you are a whole person, and whole people build things. Build something. Fifth, get honest with yourself about what you actually want. Do you want her back? Or do you want the feeling back, the comfort, the familiarity, the relief of not being alone in what you are carrying? Because those are two different things, and confusing them will lead you back into something that did not work for reasons that still exist. There is a difference between being relieved she returned and being genuinely happy that she is there. You deserve the presence of something real, not just the relief of something familiar.